So I wanted to do part two of the review of the hours, and I wanted to talk about the structure of it. Um, and the structure of the hours, the movie by Stephen Delane, my number two favorite film, and also the book, Michael Cunningham's book, which won a Pulitzer Prize. The structure of both the book and the film are not cohesive. Um, in other words, it deals with three women, Virginia Woolf and Laura Brown and Clarissa Vaughn, all different in different time periods. And the film goes back and forth between the characters. And I remember when I watched it with my mom, I begged her to watch it because she was like, "It's too depressing." And I was like, it's deep, but and a lot of people say it's depressing, but I find it very liberating, and I'll talk about that later. But um, I think as American film goers, we're so used to a film being cohesive, having a beginning and a middle and an end, and everything being tied up nicely with a nice big bow. And I don't like films like that. I mean, I always go against the status quo uh, of film or anything. I like things to be different, and the reason I think for the hours, the fact that it's not cohesive adds to the film, to the beauty of it, the nuances of it. Because what we're able to see, if the film had been done or the book written with like Virginia Woolf's story, all told and done, and then Laura Brown's from the 1960s, her story all told and done, and then Clarissa Vaughn's story from the 21st century, all said and done, and we had those three separate working like that, it would not work. But instead, by moving the eras and the periods around, we're able to see the commonality much more clearer, I think, in how these women are different characters, and yet they seem to be going on the same journey, very similar journeys. And the film opens, quite startling in that it's Virginia Woolf's suicide scene. And for those who don't know Virginia Woolf, she was a great writer. She was a great poet. She struggled with mental health issues. And at the beginning of the film, she's leaving Leonard, her husband, a suicide note, and her sister Vanessa. And she puts rocks in her pocket, and she drowns herself in a river in England, in Sussex, in 1926 or 21, somewhere. Those numbers are coming out to me. And then the film begins, the hours, and then we start to see the different time periods that are going to be taking place in addition to Virginia Woolf's era. And it does go back and forth a lot, and like I said, it just works beautifully. And I love that, like, it's kind of like why I like foreign films. I mean, they don't follow the structure of what we're so used to. It's like people won't watch a foreign film because they're like, I don't want to watch a foreign film and have to read it at the same time. And of course, we have to read it. We don't know the language, but also you find in foreign films that I know, not just Ingmar Bergman, who I brag about a lot, but also with Akira Kurosawa, um, Fellini, that their films are not ordinary. Ironically, ordinary people. They deal with issues that are, um, I think American film goers feel like, or film directors feel like American uh, attendees would not, you know, hang with that. But I think that's becoming less and less so. Thank God, because I think, like I said, film can be entertainment. There's nothing wrong with that, but it can also really show us the human condition. And no film, in my opinion, does this better than The Hours. And you'll see that later on in my character analysis. So I wanted to talk about that, the structure of that, and how it does begin with Virginia Woolf's suicide scene, and it does end with her continuing to talk further, further elucidating her ideas about life. And Mark and I ironically had a not an argument, but Mark said it was a film about characters who listen to their inner critic, and what a shame. And I thought, Well, I don't really totally agree with that. I think they have inner critics like we all do, but I also think that this was especially true for women of this time, especially Virginia Woolf's time, when women didn't have a voice at all and they couldn't even like take a stance to vote. So let alone make a decision to take their own life, you know. And Virginia Woolf kind of stood up for that. And whether you agree with that or not, I mean that is what she did. And and I think these women, all three of these women, Laura Brown, Clarissa Vaughn, and Virginia Woolf, all are taking stances in their relationships, and they're standing as women. And something else happens in this film, and I'll talk about it later because I'm sort of don't want these to be too long. But I definitely did want to talk about the structure and about how it's not cohesive, and yet I think it's if it was cohesive, we would have a totally different film, and not a good film probably. But the way it stands now, it's perfectly orchestrated to be non-cohesive and to go back and forth in the different time periods to show the characters' journeys and how they are very much alike. And so that's part two of the structure. So I hope you enjoyed this and look for more. Have a blessed night. Ordered some Chinese food, some tofu, and some vegetables and stuff. So I'm eating. So I'm glad to hear. I know people would be glad to hear me say that. I'm glad to hear me say that too. That's all thanks to God. All right. See you soon. Bye.